Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say hi. We have some attendees on already, so we'll stay on mute and we're just waiting for some of our panelists. And I'm sure I'll give another quick announcement before we start, but we will start promptly at 11:30. Good morning, everyone, and to everyone that just joined on. We're going to get started in a couple minutes, but I just wanted to say welcome to everybody. We already have 28 participants, so that's great. So we'll just get started in a couple minutes, okay? Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Susan Pridmore, and I work for the AC Hub. And we are bringing you our first ever virtual AC Day 1, and we are super, super pumped about it. So this is the first webinar for today. Hopefully you've attended your program orientation and you've already gotten some information from your program coordinator. And you would have gotten an AC Day 1 guide and checklist. And within that information is a ton of resources for you. And we are putting on these webinars and these social programming activities for you today because we want you to feel connected. We want you to feel that you know, we're here, we're all in this together. It is a very odd time, but we're here to support you. So I want to say welcome to all of our new students, and I want to say welcome to if there are any returning students, because this semester sorting looks different for you as well. So we've got a great panel today. And again, I'm going to say this over and over again. We really are all here to support you. So any questions you have, this is the time. So I'm going to just go through a little bit of housekeeping. So we'll go through all of our panelists. Each panelist will go through a short PowerPoint to give you the outline of the services that they have and the information that you need about that service. And then there'll be a Q&A at the end of all of the presentations. So certainly there's a chat for those of you who are familiar with Zoom. You can, you know, say good morning and feel welcome in that chat area. But at the end of all the presentations, we'll do a Q&A, and then you'll use that Q&A tab at the bottom to ask your questions once we begin that part of the webinar. And then for those of you as well who are new with Zoom, because this is a Zoom webinar and not a meeting, because we anticipate lots of students, which is really great, you can see us, but we unfortunately can't see your wonderful faces. So again, we'll use the Q&A, and you can use the chat throughout if you have some questions as well. And then if you have experiencing some difficulties with your technology, again, you can try signing off and then signing back in. We'll be here you know, until the end, so don't stress about that. And any information that we are putting forward in this webinar, you'll get information about it afterward, and we'll be posting the recordings of all of these webinars on our AC Day 1 website. So that information will be available for you there, but stay on because you want to see it live and you want to see it today so that you're ready for your day. And with that, I think I'm going to start because we only have an hour to get through lots of information. And then I'll just remind all of the panelists, I will forward all the slides for you. Just say next slide, and I'll be able to do that. So we're going to start. Our first person up is Martha Marr. She is from Student Support Services. She'll go through what that looks like. But then quickly, here's the agenda. You would have seen this when you registered as well. We have our president, Claude Boulay, dropping in on this webinar, so he'll say a few words, which is really great. Just because we're not on campus doesn't mean that our executive team don't want to connect with our new students and our returning students. So we're happy to have him this morning. So we will jump into it, and I will turn it over to Martha.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I hope you do feel welcome even in a virtual world. We're all here to support you and welcome you to the college and see that you succeed. I'm going to tell you about a few of the services that are available to you in Student Support Services. It's going to be a really quick overview. So what I'm hoping you take away from these slides is if you have something that's getting in your way of achieving your goals at college, there likely is a service that can speak to that and help you along the way. So you just have to seek out the help. Next slide, please, Susan. So here are some of the services that are available to you at Student Support Services. There's the AC Hub, which is all things student engagement. So there's all kinds of stuff that's always going on in this shared space, as well as a volunteer center where you can engage with your community and gain co-curricular records, etc. Aspire AC is a program for students who, without some support, wouldn't come to college, wouldn't be motivated to come or interested in coming to college, wouldn't be ready and succeed. So there's all kinds of services to help you along your journey at Aspire AC. Center for Accessible Learning is our center where people who have any kind of needs for adapting their education, academics, etc., can go and get technology support, extra time, some learning strategies, and some help along the way if they need any kind of adaptation to their academics. Counseling Services is there for you. They have three sort of streams. One is for your career. If you're struggling with your career choice, your career path, there's Career Clarity Services at Counseling. If you're having some personal and interpersonal challenges along the way, there's Counseling Services for that. And if you're struggling with your mental health, there's services for that at the Counseling Services. The Employment Center is a center on campus where you can find any jobs on campus, any jobs in the community that have been posted in a portal called Hire AC. And that portal is only available to Algonquin College students. You can also get an appointment to look at your cover letter, your resume, do some practice interviewing, etc. Health Services is a full suite of health services that are available to you. If you're in a program that requires you to have some immunizations prior to going on your co-op or your work integrated learning sessions, Health Services will be able to provide all of that for you. The library, we have a beautiful new library in one of our newest spaces. And they can help you with just about anything with regards to if you need to do some research for projects, sign out a laptop, get some films, etc. The Mamodosawin Center is there for our Indigenous students, and our Indigenous students invite anyone in the college to participate in all of the activities that are happening there. The Office of the Ombudsman is a service available when you have any kind of tension with regards to your academics, with regards to any kind of accommodations that have been made for you that you do not agree with. The Ombudsman is a neutral body trained to resolve issues with regards to your academics if you can't resolve them yourself with your professors or supports. Peer tutoring is a service available to you at Learning and Teaching Services. You can hire a tutor for under $10 an hour. It's a student who has taken that course previous to you and has achieved a B+ or more, and they can tutor you in any subjects you might be struggling with. Project Lighthouse is all things harm reduction. So it's a very specialized service on our campus to help you along the way if you're struggling with any kind of substance use or any kind of challenge where you want to reduce the harms to yourself. Next slide, please, Susan. So I'm just going to key in on some really key services. The Center for Accessible Learning. If you're somebody who is coming in and has had in the past any kind of accommodations, please register with the Center for Accessible Learning sooner rather than later. You access that service through the Welcome Center, and you get started by meeting with a learning strategist who can look at any accommodations you may have had in the past, any assessments that you have that lead them to help you make accommodations in your individual learning plan. Next slide. And then Counselling Services, another key service in our repertoire of services and supports that help you to meet your goals. Again, if you are struggling with anything, you access this service through the Welcome Center. And we do hope to see you up at the Welcome Center and see you succeed in overcoming any challenges that you have. Next slide. Aspire AC. So this is for students who come from any one of the 14 diversity groups in the Human Rights Code. If you're somebody who identifies with any one of the 14 diversity groups and you feel that you could use some help to access college, be ready for college when you get there, and some assistance in staying at college, graduating, and finding meaningful employment in your chosen career path, then Aspire AC certainly can be a support for you. So that is also accessed through the Welcome Center or on the Aspire AC website. You can register directly. Next slide, Susan. And thank you. Really hope that you have a great time at Algonquin College and become part of our community.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Martha. Okay, so we're turning on to the registrar's office now, and Nick is online. Nick, I will pass it over to you. Oh, are we having some technical difficulties? Nick, we just can't hear you. Hold on one sec. Okay, I've unmuted you. Can we hear you now?
My apologies.
We can hear you now.
Thank goodness. It's great to be here and it's great to be heard. It's better whenever the two things happens at the same time. The registrar's office, we take care of a lot of different concerns, financial aid being one of the big ones. And within financial aid, one of the biggest concerns that we have is the OSAP. Now, OSAP is for Ontario residents. And so to apply for that program, you need to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a protected person. If you are an international student, or if you're from outside of the province, you can be funding available for you through either the province. And if you have questions about funding concerns, if you're an international student, our International Education Center can provide some more information as to what resources we have available to you. We also have bursaries available, and I'll be talking with those a little bit more later. But to come back to the OSAP program, one of the big things is you would need to be enrolled in an approved post-secondary institution taking an approved program. Now, the very fact that you've come to Algonquin College and you're studying full-time would allow you to be able to have access to the OSAP funding program for Ontario residents. If you're taking 60% or more of a course load, or 40% if you have a disability, that also allows you to be able to get it. If you're registered in less than that, there are still funding options for you, but we call it something else. The other big thing that's important is to understand that it's based on financial need. Financial need is not something that we decide ourselves or that students get to decide. It is a calculation done by the ministry. Now, it's very fortunate that sometimes we see some silly mistakes. For instance, I had somebody who on their application said they're making $3.5 million. It turns out a couple zeros make a big difference in an application. So if you're curious as to what you should have received compared to what you got, by all means, please contact us. And I'll be sharing how to get a hold of us in just a moment. If I can get to the next slide, please. I'd also like to share how to apply for funding. So for OSAP, again, for Ontario residents, you can apply through the website that's listed there. If you're applying for out-of-province funding, individual provinces have opportunities for you to be able to apply, and that can be dependent on things in regards to having additional paperwork completed by us or an online application. We do work as tightly and closely as we can. And if you have any questions, we do have a contact information as well, which I believe is on the next slide. Oh, next slide, please, sorry.
Sorry, Nick. There you go.
That's okay. Oh, it turns out it's the slide after this, but we'll start here. Before we worry about contacting us, let's talk about some other ways to get some funding. And that would be through bursaries, scholarships, and awards. Now, bursaries are great because there's internal bursaries that we offer, as well as there's external bursaries. Now, to apply for a bursary, you'd go on your Access account. And I know the next slide has something about that. That's going to be based, there we go. So if you were to apply on Access, you'd be able to see where you can update your SIN, which is required to have new money issued from the college, and you'd be able to enter the bursary portal. If I can go back to the previous slide just real quick, I do want to touch upon two other things too. Our scholarships and awards. Scholarships and awards are even better than bursaries in so much as you do not need to apply for them. This can be an automatic process. There's sometimes you need to self-identify, but the application process is just a question of raising your hand to say that you would like to be considered for an award. Now, if we can go 2 slides in advance, this is how you'd get a hold of us here. If you go to the financial aid website, there's a drop-down list for all the different programs for all our different campuses, which would be able to tell you who's assigned for your program. So if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out that way. And finally, I just want to bring up one bit of information when it comes to what you can also use Access for. So if we can go to the next slide. Access is also a great opportunity for you to be able to view your timetable and add, drop, or transfer courses whenever there's courses that can be added and dropped. If you have previous academic experience, you can also apply for a credit or an exemption from those courses, as well as I'd mentioned, you can apply for bursaries. Now that's the internal bursaries. External bursaries, if you're applying through something through, let's say, the Legion or another opportunity, we would be happy to complete that paperwork on your behalf. I should also make a note too, that if you're an international student, not only can you apply for bursaries through the Access website, but you can also make payments as necessary. And I think that's my 5 minutes.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Nick. And for our students, as we go through here, you can see in the chat, we'll be adding some links. So as our representatives are talking about each service and how to access them, those links will be there so you can easily get on there and take the next steps. Okay, so next we are coming over to campus services. So certainly a very large area to cover. And we have Rachel and Jeremy, and I will turn it over. I believe, Rachel, you'll be starting.
Yes, hello everybody. How are you today? Welcome. I'm just going to do a quick overview of campus services as a whole and talk a little bit about card services, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Jeremy, who is going to talk about course materials. So campus services runs a wide variety of things. So food and conference services falls under us, which is 7 locations on campus. Now for the spring term, if you are in residence, 35th Street Market Cafe is open. They're open from 10 to 4, Monday to Friday, and they're doing a call ahead and pick up. So you call ahead and order, there's a menu online, and then you will go and pick it up. So it's contactless, it's very safe. We run print services, so the print shop as well as the printers on campus, which you will find out a little bit more about later into the semester. Retail services, connections to campus store as well as course materials. Parking, lockers, and card services, so your AC card, your student card, and your UPass, your bus pass, as well as residents. So any questions that come up about any of those, I am happy to answer. Also, one other thing before I go forward and talk about card services, if you're looking for us on social media, we are at AC Campus Services on all channels. Instagram, we're doing kind of some Q&A today, so feel free to pop over there and ask us any questions as well. Next slide. So card services, you will have received a couple of emails about this already, but for new students, if you haven't already, upload your photo online at acphoto@algonquincollege.com. Your login is your network username and password, which you can find in Access. There's a step-by-step video to help you to upload your photo at algonquincollege.com/accards. Your AC card and UPass will be mailed to the address on file with the college that is also in Access. Returning students, your UPass has already been mailed to you if you have not opted out. There is opt-out information for both new and returning students for the UPass on our UPass website. If you have any questions about your AC card, please contact photoid@algonquincollege.com. They're working really hard this week to answer all of their emails. They have a number of them today, and to print your cards and get them out to you if you have not received them already. If you have any questions about your UPass or anything related to opt-out, you can contact upass@algonquincollege.com. And again, feel free to ask me any questions in the Q&A and happy to answer. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Jeremy, now.
Great. Okay, can we go back a slide, Susan? Aha. That looks good. So book list. One of the long-standing questions for particularly first-year students or first semester students is how to find your required course material. What are the learning tools that you need to be successful in the academic journey you are starting today? To make that easier for you, we've built a customized book list tool. So over at the campusstore.ca and in the emails you would have received from our wonderful communications team, you will have a link to book list. Your book list is your college username and your college user password. This is the same password that you use to log into the wireless, your email, but not for Access. That's a different login credential. So that will trigger a little search algorithm in the background that's going to pull all of your active course registrations from our registration system and match it to our course planning data so that you see just the material for your courses based on your registration. If your course load changes over the course of the next couple of weeks as you're evaluating courses and sections, your book list will stay up to date with all the different academic courses that you are moving into or out of, exempting or applying from. So it's a pretty dynamic list and you can trust it. Next slide, please. Wonderful. When you see your book list, you're actually seeing a textbook search result page, and it is going to show you material for the current term, which is 2020S or 2020 spring or summer. We are currently offering a number of formats on our course material. So you will see print options and you will see digital options. Some of our digital options you will own for life, much like you would your textbook. And we do have digital rental programs starting this summer. So you will see on some digital products, you can rent those for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And we've provided as many format options as available for you. You can purchase digital and print material at the same time from the website. Currently, we are offering a free shipping program on all of our print essential course material items anywhere in Canada and the United States. There are steps if you are purchasing digital material that come in your receipt on how to claim your digital resources, whether those are publisher codes or textbooks to download from our vendor partner. Next slide. A QR code, they're back. You can use the handy dandy QR code by opening the camera app on your phone. You could actually do it right now if you have 30 seconds. You'll also see the QR code around campus and in some of our digital marketing collateral. When you get this presentation at the end and you want to review it, you can always go back here and scan this QR code and it will take you directly to the login page for Booklist. Next slide. think is contact information. We have a general email address for course materials. So if you ever have any questions or concerns about your course material or what material you need, you can always send us an email. We also have a link that I will put in the chat to the group for an all-day live Zoom drop-in. So if at any point between 8 this morning and 6 this evening, you have any questions or concerns about your course material, you can pop into that Zoom room and a course material representative will provide you whatever service you need to get the tools today to be successful. Thanks, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Moving right along, we're going to go to our Students Association, and our representative is Pat. Pat, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, so my name is Pat Chenot. I'm the Senior Manager of Student Life for your Students Association. I'm here to talk about everything that we offer across all 3 of our campuses. So for the Students Association, we're here to create an environment that inspires a passion for student success. We're governed by a board of directors. These are full-time students. There's 9 of them, 1 on Perth campus, 1 on Pembroke campus, and then the remaining 7 are on our Ottawa campus. Emily Ferguson is your student president, and Robbie Richter is your student vice president. And these students are assisted by full-time staff who operate and run a number of different facilities and services across our organization, everything from events to clubs, our food cupboard, which is our student food bank on campus. We oversee the health and dental plan for all domestic students. We own and operate a number of different venues on campus, from our student commons. We're currently building our athletics and recreation center, our fitness zone, and Algonquin Commons Theater, all sorts of great activities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So first off is athletics. So we currently have a 15,000 square foot fitness facility. Obviously, we're not using it right now, but when you return to campus, it will be open. And we're currently building a new 125,000 square foot athletics and recreation center, which will be open next year, or sorry, in a whole year, so next summer. We own and operate varsity sports. So there's men's and women's soccer, volleyball, rugby, and basketball. We have an impact zone, which is a mixed martial arts and boxing studio on campus, and then intramural sports, which are sports that you can play with other students in between classes: floor hockey, dodgeball, basketball, volleyball, badminton, all sorts of different options. Next slide, please. So some of the services we offer is, obviously, our biggest one is the health and dental plan for all domestic students. If you're an international student, there is a health plan, but it's offered through the International Center, and I'll let them speak to that. But you can join our health plan if you're an international student and need dental coverage. Grad photos. So when you graduate, you'd like nice, beautiful photos sent to your parents or loved ones. We take those for you on campus. Our food cupboard, which is a food bank that's on campus, and it supplies 3 days of emergency food per month to each student that needs that service. Housing ads. So if you're looking for a place to live in the Ottawa, Perth, or Pembroke area, you can check out our website. Grad funding. So when you graduate and you want to throw a party and celebrate with your friends, we provide funding for that. And employee network funding is, if you have a great guest speaker that you'd like to bring in, bring them to your class, and they cost some money, we cover the funding for that as well. Next slide, please. Student life. So this is my department on campus. So we oversee pretty large scale events on campus. We have an 800-person theater that we throw concerts in, and all sorts of activities like that. Clubs and communities. This is a great way to get involved on campus. We're doing a really good job virtually right now during COVID to get students involved through clubs and communities. There's all sorts of different clubs, from chess club to the video game club. There's a salsa club, all sorts of different things. There's a list online. I'm sure Leanne has already posted in the chat, but there's tons of different clubs on campus. Our Wellness and Equity Center is a space for the 2S LGBTQ and BIPOC community on campus. It's open to all students, but the center really supports those students and bringing those activities and programming to all 3 of our campuses. And then class reps is a great way to be an academic representation of your class and bring those academic concerns forward to our board of directors so they can work with college administration to improve the academic experience. Next slide, please. So venues, I talked about this earlier. Some of the different venues we own on campus: the Observatory, which is our campus lounge. It's the only licensed establishment, so if you want to grab a beer in between classes, it's a great place to go there. Always tons of great food, great big fireplace. It's a really good place just to hang out. And then we own and operate a Starbucks in our Student Commons building in the Algonquin Commons Theater, which is an 800-person venue on campus that, we put on a lot of concerts, a lot of comedy nights, all sorts of different things. And then outside organizations also rent it, and students get access to those events as well. I think that's it. Next slide. That's all. So I just want to thank you for the virtual AEC Day 1. This has not been easy for anyone, and we're excited to get back to the campus and see you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving to the International Education Center, and we have Sue and Michelle. I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Susan. We'll get started with the health insurance that Pat was talking about. So we work with international students, and the International Education Center works with GuardMe, and GuardMe is the health insurance provider that provides health insurance to international students. Your insurance is similar to what Canadians have in terms of what coverage you have. It's not always exactly the same, but generally it is. If you're not feeling well, you have coverage. You also have prescription medication as part of that as well. GuardMe will be in contact with you, international students, through your Algonquin AC Live email only, not to your Gmail account or Yahoo, but to your AC Live. And of course, when you're checking your AC Live email, there are two folders that you should be aware of. There's the focused folder and the other folder. If you don't see your GuardMe email in the focused folder, please do take a look at the other folder to see if your email from GuardMe is there. If you haven't received an email yet from GuardMe, you will soon. So just keep checking every day. We're also hosting an international orientation tomorrow, and we'll have representatives from GuardMe at the international orientation tomorrow to talk more about the health insurance there. Next slide. So the support services generally that we offer to international students really involves immigration information. So we host webinars, information sessions. You'll see some information coming up usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll have webinars that are open for questions and answers that you can join. Check your email for that communication. The international office does send out newsletters twice every month with important information and events and what have you. We also would like to connect you with mentors if you need help connecting and integration at Algonquin and in Ottawa. A lot of the immigration support that we provide is related to your study permits. So extending study permits. If you've recently changed your school, perhaps you were studying at another school and you've changed to Algonquin, you need to be mindful that immigration needs to know where you're studying now. So we'll talk more about that as well at the upcoming orientation. We also update a lot of important information on our FAQ page. So that's at the algonquincollege.com. If you click on the red banner and then on the FAQ section, you'll find the international FAQ page there. And that's where we post a lot of important information that is would relate specifically to international students. And of course, if you need to contact us at any time, send us an email at IEC support@algonquincollege.com. Over to my colleague Sue, and next slide.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Algonquin College. We're so happy that you're here to join us. One link that we have that's very important is this is where we have our current events calendar. So we would suggest that you check that as we update that with any of our webinars or events activities that we host specifically for international students. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone, as my colleague Michelle said, tomorrow at the international orientation. We have two sessions. One's at 7:30 in the morning and the other one is at 1 in the afternoon. So if you have not registered, I would suggest going to this link and register, and we'll see you there tomorrow. Next slide, please. as my colleague Michelle mentioned, we do also offer peer tutoring for international students. So if you are struggling in some of your courses, once you get up and running, the international office will support you with the first 10 hours of free peer tutoring. What you would need to do is send us an email at IEC Support with your name, your Algonquin student number, and in the subject line put peer tutoring, and then we'll be able to send you a letter that then will get you on your way to accessing the peer tutoring. And over to my colleague Michelle for the next slide.
Next slide, Susan.
I think that was the next one. No?
Oh, that was it? No, I think, or did we talk about, oh, the peer mentor program. Sorry, it looked like peer tutoring. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a peer mentor program for international students. So this is where you can connect with upper level international students who can help guide you and integrate you to Ottawa and to the college community and to college life. So to reach a peer mentor, send an email to internationalmentor@algonquincollege.com. And hopefully we'll see the majority of you guys tomorrow at the international orientation. Next slide, I think that's it for us.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue and Michelle. Okay, and we're just going to keep moving right along here. We're moving on to academic success, and Tony is here to represent. Tony, over to you.
Thanks, Susan. Good afternoon, students. Today I'm just going to speak about the academic success team that you have for support at the college. So first off, we have your program coordinators who are here to help you with your program progression. That's your course planning, your course scheduling, and to ensure that you have the complete credits to graduate from your program. You also have academic advisors in your programs that help you with your academic goals and big picture questions such as career pathways and kind of program fit. We also have student success specialists in each department, like myself, who are a great link to resources and referrals across campuses. You heard about all the different support services we have at the college for you, but sometimes it can be a challenge to know which ones to go to and where to find them, so we can be and in terms of your classes, your professor is your best bet for in terms of support for course-specific questions, and should be your first kind of line to go to for questions. Next slide, please. In terms of some tips for academic success, with remote learning, it can be a challenge to not go to on campus to do your classes. So what we're trying to do is to have you plan your schedules out in terms of your timetable with your classes, whether you're actually reviewing them live or they're recorded and you read them after. It's good to plan when you're going to be doing your actual classwork as well in terms of your homework and when you're going to plan time to relax. It can be challenging to do a lot of computer FaceTime, so planning time to relax is important to know as well. In terms of remote learning, making connections with classmates, instructors, and your academic success team is important, and the earlier the better. So today is your first step in terms of reaching out, connecting with people, which is great. In terms of connect with your classmates, it's great to build that social connections, and in terms of your instructors, to get that support you need. We have many resources online to help you improve your study skills. So if you do need help, please reach out to your academic success team, whether it's your teacher or your student success specialist, and we can help you with writing skills, your time management, even note taking. Next slide, please. One thing that's important is to create a regular study space that can help you stay organized and eliminate distractions, especially with remote learning. We're going to be home a lot doing our schoolwork. So if you're lucky enough to have an office space or a quiet space you can find in your house, that'd be great. One thing to do too is hold yourself accountable, or he helps find somebody to help somebody find yourself to hold you accountable. This could be a classmate where you can build a good support network to make sure you stay on top of your weekly tasks, or a family member or friend to make sure that they can kind of be that cheerleader to help you motivate you to continue your success. One thing to do too is set a goal to reward yourself after finishing an assignment. It can be a challenge to just stare at a computer all day and work, whether you're doing your actual schoolwork or have a job that you have to do too. So it's important to actually give yourself a reward, whether that's, you know, at night you're not doing any work, or on the weekend get some sun, or having your favorite meal. Next slide, please. To find your success team, we do have a website you can go to. This is where you can find your student success specialist for each department, your program coordinator, and your academic advisor for your class. Next slide, please. Thank you for the time today, and good luck in your studies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. Okay, so next we are very happy to welcome our president, Claude Brulé. We've said this a few times now in this webinar that it's certainly a different time. We're all coming from our homes to yours because we're all doing our part. But as I said, just because we're not on campus doesn't mean that we all don't want to get some face-to-face time and connect, and certainly Claude feels the same way. So I'm going to turn it over to President Brulé to say a few words and welcome our new students.
Quay. As Susan mentioned, my name is Claude Brulé and I'm your president. I'm really delighted to welcome you virtually, as it were, to Algonquin College and to your spring term. And although this semester looks very different, as you've heard from previous speakers, I'm thrilled that you're taking these first steps and participating in our College Essential webinar as part of AC Day 1. You have a panel of experts, college experts that are coming online to be with you today to provide you with excellent information that you will need to set you on the right path for success. Now, you've already heard from some of them, from Student Support Services, Financial Aid, and Campus Services. You've heard from our International Education Office, Student Success Specialists, and so on. There are more topics to be covered later on, following my remarks. Why is this important to you? It's important because, especially right now, given that we're not on campus, it doesn't have the same context perhaps, so it's important to be connected so that you have the right information to get started on your term on the right foot. So I certainly encourage you to tune in to all the other webinars and the activities that are there throughout the day. Please ask your questions. Don't be shy. There's a Q&A piece there. You can ask any question you want. We'll get back to you either on the spot or following the webinar. Introduce yourself, connect to us, or connect with each other. We're all here to support you. I want to thank you, and I look forward to connecting with you again. Have a great day, and again, welcome to our Algonquin College community.
Thank you so much, President Brulé. Very nice of you to stop in. All right, we'll continue on.
Okay, I wish you well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, so we are moving on. We're going to come to Mark, and he's going to talk about our co-op education program. I'll turn it over to you, Mark.
Great, thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for attending. It's so great to have you here at Algonquin College, and it's also good to see some of my colleagues as well. I haven't seen many people, so that's great. I'm going to be, obviously we have 5 minutes, so it's going to be a very, very quick version of co-op, but of course you'll have a chance for questions and answers, and then we'll have some website information as well. So when you look at co-op or work integrated learning, there is a number of different things that you may have experienced, such as, you know, a high school co-op, co-op at the college university level, you'll see highlighted in green. You've also heard a term, maybe clinical placements or field placements. All of them are quite different, quite frankly, and you're going to find that if your program has a co-op component, it will be at least 16 weeks. You will be paid, unlike a lot of high school co-ops. Your job will be full-time, and and it's going to be very separate from your studies. So if you are applying to co-op and you have a co-op option, you're basically looking at 4 months of full-time employment that's paid, and you won't be in school for those 4 months. Okay, next slide, please, Susan. So what exactly is co-op? So I just mentioned it. It's basically a full-time job, okay? It's a minimum of 35 hours per week. The pay can really range, okay? So we have some programs, some industries where the pay is minimum wage, but we have others that are, the pay is very, very good. Typically about 60% of our co-ops at Algonquin College are actually with the government. And because of that, the pay rates can be quite high. Our standard co-op work term is 4 months, but depending on the employer, so for example, if they have project work, sometimes the co-op can be 8 months. And as far as what the jobs are, Jobs are, we cover many industries, and we're very lucky at Algonquin that we do work with some of the top employers across the country. So you're always getting the highest level of employment. And whatever your job is, we will ensure that it is directly related to your academic program. Okay, next slide, please, Susan. Okay, 3 facts about co-op. So students that take a co-op within their studies, it's been proven that it helps with such things as increased learning, problem solving, all that good stuff. Also, we have statistics that would indicate employers perceive our students as having the most up-to-date skills, and they certainly are more employable. Okay, any student that has co-op on their resume are typically hired much faster. And long-term money, we also have some statistics that came in a couple of years ago that students that take co-op within their academic program are typically going to earn anywhere between $2,000 to $8,000 more in their first job. And that is specifically because they have real-world industry experience and it's very current. Okay, so another great reason to consider co-op. Okay, next slide, please, Susan. Okay, so basically co-op at Algonquin College, there are 3 phases. First of all, no student can go out on a co-op work term until they've been at least at the college for 1 year. Okay, so you're going to be, for those of you that have co-op in your program, your co-op will be in your 2nd year. That's where you will start. But even when you come to us in your 1st year, you're going to be registering for co-op very early. You'll receive emails from us. You don't have to do a thing. We'll be in contact with you. So you may be registering in your 1st year. And in that 1st year, you're going to be working with us on your prep term. Okay, and what prep is basically you're going to be working with our department on your resume, interview skills, dressing for success, how to work with employers. Then you'll move on after that to what we call the job search term. And basically the job searching is exactly what it is. You're going to be perhaps, you're going to be searching for work. You're going to be doing interviews with our employers. You might do workshops. You might do mock interviews. So that's a lot of the job search term. And then of course, if you're fortunate enough and you land a co-op, then your work term is exactly that. You're going to be working at least 4 full months full-time. You're not going to be in school. You're going to be in what we call a work term semester. So you still are an Algonquin College student. And while you're on your co-op term, there will be some very brief assignments to complete while you're working. Next slide, please, Susan. Okay. For all the international students out there, you will need a co-op work permit. Okay, you're going to get all of this information sent to you. So the great thing is there's nothing you need to do today. We work with a tremendous amount of international students, and all the information is on our website. And also, of course, Michelle looks like she's still here. So she's the resident expert on international stuff. So Michelle is definitely your person. Other things on here, I'm not going to go over them just due to time. But for those of you that are international, between our department and Michelle's, we're going to be happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay, next slide, please, Susan. Okay, co-op eligibility. Once again, not going to go over anything, but if you do decide to enroll and you get accepted in co-op, there is a minimum GPA that you have to maintain. You have to complete all of your courses. You've got to remain in good standing. And of course, we expect you to be a college ambassador while you're on your work term. Next slide, please. Well, thank you very much. Once again, the great thing is there's nothing you need to do about co-op today. There's going to be plenty of time for me to answer some questions. And if you simply Google Algonquin College Co-op, our website is extremely well laid out, and all of our information is there as well. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Okay, we're doing pretty well for time. One last presenter. We are moving over to Matt from ITS, so certainly some information here, and then we'll get into our Q&A. But Matt, I will turn it over to you for the next presentation.
Hi there, my name is Matthew Wally. I'm a case resolution technician with ITS. We operate out of Student Central on campus. However, that space is currently closed. I'll get into that later on. ITS is responsible for your network accounts, Brightspace support for students, helping you get your software set up on your computers. We also do troubleshooting of computers and other learning devices. A key resource when you are starting at Algonquin College will be your network account, which is retrievable from Access. There's a little guide up on the screen there for getting new students and returning students access to their network account information. With your network account, you can access a variety of services and benefits. On the next slide, please. The most important resources you'll be using as a student is Brightspace and student email. Brightspace is where most of your learning activities will take place, including quizzes, assignments, and lectures. And student email is the main method by which your instructors, chairs, and program coordinators would be getting in touch with you. So always be sure to check your student email and Brightspace for the most information on your courses. Other important resources is Office 365, which is the complete Office 365 suite of software, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all very important software for the majority of courses here at the college. And for students who are participating in full-time courses, the digital resource portal accessible from Brightspace has a lot of useful software that is specific to your course. Once again, that's only for full-time students. One last useful resource that all students can request, but only certain students are pre-approved for, is VPN services. VPN is used by certain students in courses to access resources that would otherwise only be accessible while on campus, but it allows them to access those resources from home. If you are not pre-approved for access to VPN, but you believe it would be useful to your studies, you can contact your instructor, chair, or dean and request that they submit a VPN access request to ITS on your behalf. The next slide, please. Zoom is the main teleconferencing software that Algonquin College is using at the moment to carry out most of its online lectures. There's a built-in Zoom lecture rooms into Brightspace that instructors can use to carry out their coursework. Additionally, students can connect through Zoom to carry out coursework, group projects, study sessions. College has taken a number of security measures to protect Zoom meetings that are within college accounts. Specifically, all meetings are protected by a password that is provided by your instructor. All Zoom rooms have a waiting room feature enabled so that instructors can screen their attendees and get rid of individuals that should not be in attendance. And lastly, your webcam is disabled by default to give you time to prepare your space so that people aren't witnessing anything they shouldn't. Lastly, there are several Zoom support resources, including one created by Algonquin College that has a little bit more college-specific information in it. There is, of course, also the Zoom support website, which has a general knowledge base of all Zoom support inquiries. We also are currently carrying out a Zoom live support where a member of ITS will sit with you in a Zoom session and assist you as best they can with your Zoom specific problem. Next slide, please. Mentioning ITS support sessions, we offer support in a number of different ways. The best way to submit a complicated inquiry that you feel will require some review is to reach us by email, available at 5555@algonquincollege.com. Any email submitted to ITS is addressed within 24 hours, and we will work with you until we find either a solution or we're able to direct you towards a solution for your problem. Alternatively, we have Contact Center, where a member of ITS will talk with you on the phone and give you assistance with your problem. We're also able to connect to your computer remotely to help you address issues on your computer. And when on-campus services resume, we can meet with you face-to-face at the service desk in Student Central, which is in the bottom floor of Dare District. This service is not currently offered as the campus is currently closed. That's everything that ITS has to say today. Please be aware that if you do submit a ticket to ITS, there's a number of different configurations each computer at the college has. Different students have different needs, and it can take time for a member of ITS to prepare a solution for you. So if it's taking a little longer than you would like, don't be afraid to reach out and ask for an update on the status of your ticket. Just be aware that there's a lot of students that need support, and it's not as easy as just copying and pasting a solution. Everything requires a little bit of investigation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, so that is all of our representatives for today. We're going to open it up to the Q&A. So what I'm actually going to do is stop sharing my screen so that we can see everybody's face. And I'm going to open up the Q&A here, and we'll get started. And again, thank you, everyone. You know, we recognize that this is very different, but certainly to our new students, you are starting your day off very well, getting this information and getting ready. Okay, so our first question says, hi there, do you have any information about when the Canadian borders will be open to foreigners? So I'm just going to let everybody know, and we'll post the link in the chat. There is a coronavirus FAQ on the main page of Algonquin College. It is an extremely good resource, and I would look on there for any updates in terms of what our professional health industry is looking to move forward, and in terms of borders opening up, what our government is saying. So I'll ask Leanne, who is part of our events team, just put that link in there, and I would go onto there for more information. Like everybody, you know, as we move forward through this pandemic, we're learning as we go. So I don't want to speak directly to it, but I would go on to that website to get some more information, and certainly onto the Government of Ontario's website as well. Okay, our next question. What is useful for VPN? I am in home and I need to access VPN. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this is an international student and they are not in Ontario. So maybe Matt, if I can ask you if this student would need VPN, if that's a useful function for them if they're not in Ontario.
Yeah, I can speak to that. VPN can be used to access services that are normally only available from the on-campus network. Specifically, peer tutoring is a big resource that is normally only accessible while you're on campus. Additionally, each student is provided network storage space at Algonquin College. It's commonly referred to as your N drive. Other resources are the My Desktop service, which is a virtual computer environment, which can be used to access software that normally wouldn't be compatible with your computer. And the last resource is accessing a licensing server that's at Algonquin College. Certain software that students get access to needs to authenticate with Algonquin College's license to actually be useful. And the VPN assists with that process. Not all of those services I just described, not all of them are needed by every student. So it's a good idea to reach out to your instructor to see if you would need access to those types of services. And if your instructor believes that your course could need them, chances are they've already submitted the request on your behalf. Any remaining VPN access requests would be exceptions to the regular course, the way the course is regularly carried out.
Excellent, thank you. And Tony, I don't know if you want to add to that at all, or if Matthew covered everything.
In terms of the VPN?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'll be just making sure that if you have access to it, to connect to the different software for your class. So every class might have specific software, so just ensuring if you do need it, you have access to it. And then if you have any trouble, connect with ITS to get the support.
Okay, and the easiest thing to do there would be to contact their program coordinator or their professor to get that information. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you both. Our next question, Mark, I'm coming to you. It's about co-op. Are there any opportunities for co-op programs for strictly online distance education students who are not in the Ottawa area? Mark, you're just on mute still.
Sorry about that. Currently, there are no sort of online distance education programs. I do know that we are working with our full-time programs right now. We are working with developing what's called an e-co-op, and what e-co-op is for students that are attending the college and they come to us with an idea as an entrepreneur. So let's say, for example, they come to us and they want to develop their own business. We are working on that program actually as we speak, and that's going to be launched, but there currently are no sort of co-op programs that are for distance education at this time.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. And we have one more question here. And Matthew, I'm coming back to you. It is saying that their Access website does not show a user ID. And who should they ask to correct this? And I would maybe ask, we get a lot of questions regarding this in terms of the steps that students need to take and which portal they should be accessing first. So maybe you just want to just walk through that quickly, that would be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. As a student, when you pay your fees, they may not be immediately processed. From the time that your fees are officially processed within the student's information system, 24 hours after that processing date, your network account information is populated within Access. If the processing date is on a Friday, then it instead happens on the Monday. So you would have access to your network credentials the following business day from the day your fees are processed. So if you're not seeing your network account information in Access at the moment, feel free to reach out to ITS or the registrar's office and they can confirm the date your fees were processed. If your fees were processed in the past, let's say over the past 48 hours, and you still don't have your network account information, at that point, ITS will intervene and will reach out to the admins that make the network accounts and will manually create it. But the process that handles the automatic creation of these network account credentials does take a little bit of time from the date you pay your fees to actually getting that information.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Matthew. Okay, so I'm just looking at our time. We have one more question that came in, and Sue or Michelle, I'm just going to ask that you take a look in the Q&A there and maybe answer that just live to that student, if you could type that in there, because it's very specific. But for the rest of us, I'm going to say thank you so much. This was our very first virtual AC Day 1 webinar. And again, we're very, very excited to have everybody on board, and we're here for you. You would have gotten your checklist and your AC Day 1 guide. So look in those resources, those digital resources, because there's a wealth of information and any link that you need, because we're recognizing that obviously we can't have that on-campus interaction. So we're supplying you with those links and those websites so that you can get the information that you do need and that you can reach out to the appropriate person. So make sure that you're checking those resources. And again, these webinars are being recorded and we're going to have them up on our orientation website. So certainly you can come back and take a look at them if you need to. And we look forward to seeing you throughout the day. You'll certainly see some of these faces again in other webinars and social activities. But thank you to all our panelists, and thank you to the AC Hub events team. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we will see you later.